Hello, everybody. It is Professor now. Rocco, your boy here. I know Professor now. I'm all fancy. It is Rocco, your boy here, and as your boy, I'm bringing you another episode of Age of Sigmar 101. This is officially episode 2. I know, they're just flying out the shelves right now. And this one, we're going to come to a problem that whether it's new players or experienced players alike have, and this is list building. You're right. This class is List Building 101. So, for today's class, and again, if you're here, you think you're here for the master class, come to this one too, because there are some basics that people that are tournament players don't actually get. And here we're gonna make sure everyone's got the same kind of nomenclature going on. We're using the same terms and words, and this is what we build up for the next bit. So, even if you're here for the master class, stay, relax, like, subscribe, the whole shit. Anyway, first books we need are actually gonna be our battle tome. Yeah, this is my current second edition Stormcast Battle Tome, and I love it. As you can see, I've tabbed it all up. I use this a lot. It's the first army I got into in Age of Sigmar. And we're also going to be looking at our General's Handbook for the current edition of the game that you're playing. The book that's rebalancing all the points and all the rules. And most specifically, what this episode of List Building 101 is for is matched play. That is the game. There's three ways to play the game of Age of Sigmar. If we want to recap, one is open play, where you just throw everything you own on a table and say screw it. Second is narrative play, where you're playing like campaign packs and books and all that fun stuff where you make up rules and you get Path to Glory. You get freaky with it. And this is uh, match play. It's actually usually people use this rules when using the other two as well to try to be like, hey, these models were so many points in my army book, and you have so many points of models in your army book. Let's go and make an even amount of points for an army, whether it actually reaches true parity on the table or not, so we can have a fair enough game. And also know that when you're making lists for this in Age of Sigmar, we have hard caps on our points. So if you're gonna go out and say, "Hey man, I want to play like 1,000 point pickup game," you and your opponent will both know you cannot go over 1,000 points. There's so many restrictions and things you need to bring, so it sets the expectation for the game you're trying to play. Now, also, just as a note here, because again, one-on-one class, we're doing this, we're going back to basics. You're going to hear people talk about keywords and battlefield roles when making lists. A keyword is actually on the bottom of your war scroll for your units. That is, like it says, like for my Stormcast Eternals, it'll say like the name of the unit. Like let's take Liberators for example. They're Liberators. They have the Redeemer keyword. That's for synergies later in the book. They have Order as a keyword. Um, the battlefield role is actually found at usually the very last page of these books here. I'll flip to it for you. See these pitch battle profiles? I know, I know. I'm not fancy enough to edit it onto my screen. Stay with me here, camera guy. So, what I'm doing is when I look at the back of my book, it's going to say, hey, Liberator, battlefield role. It is a battle line unit. Then I'm going to go and scroll down and see there's Sequitors. They're battle line if I have a certain type of hero as my general. And I look for that hero, and they also have the leader keyword, and that would be the Lord Arcanums of the book, whether it's on Tauralion, on foot, Griff Charger, which is my personal favorite, or the Dracoline, which you'd think would be my favorite after everything I'm going to show you, but we'll get to that in a bit. And then we're going to go and answer a question that I actually brought up in my first video. Um, so everything in Age of Sigmar is a unit, whether it's a unit of one model or a unit of a bajillion. Everything is a unit. So when you have something that says there's a spell that says it affects units within 18 inches of this model. You're also affecting yourself with it, whether it's a buff for like rerolling ones to hit off a hero or extra attacks or what have you in the army that you specifically are trying to learn to play right now. So, now we've got the basics out of the way. Let's actually get to the meat of this. So first things first, when making lists, there are three popular points ranges that people play in. Usually, beginning players play at 1,000 points. So, what does that look like? We're actually going to go over to War Scroll Builder right here. I'm doing good at this. All right. So this is warscroll builder. This is on the Warhammer community website. We got a warscroll builder right up there. We're gonna see. This is another thing people don't get how to use this, and so we're gonna walk you through this right now. So this is just a blank thing of warscroll builder. Um, we see a lot of buttons, a lot of icons. We don't know what a lot of them are right now, so we're gonna start from the beginning. See, there's 2,000 points, so you can actually hover over it, click it, and set your game type. In the General's Handbook, these are game types that are set for you, and this is where we get our rules from. These are what get updated about once a year, around June, July. So we're looking for a Vanguard game, also more commonly referred to as a 1,000-point game for a brand new player. We're not looking for any of these point variations. We're not going crazy, just straight up 1,000 points. I got my start collecting box and a couple units, maybe a hero. I'm looking good. So now we're going to see what type of point system we're doing, because I know it's confusing. There's pitched battle, which is what we're using, which is, again, the general, we're just playing a game. Meeting engagements, which GHB 2019 introduced this type of a game system, which is nice, but it never fully kicked off. It is viewed more on the lines of almost narrative gaming, where again it's 1,000 points, but we don't worry about that. In skirmish, which has been dead since first edition. So moving on to pitch battle. Clicked it, we're good. Now we're choosing our Grand Alliance. This allows us to say, hey, I'm gonna have easier times choosing my options for type of armies I'm gonna pick, and then my allegiances and things. And we're doing this off of my Stormcast army, so we're gonna go order, because that is the Grand Alliance they're in. Next, for my allegiance, what this means is, do I want to play in Grand Alliance order? Do I want to play in Stormcast? Do I want to play in something else that I just haven't really picked out yet for my army? I'm using the Stormcast Eternal book. I'm using the Stormcast Eternal Allegiance abilities, so they will be Allegiance Stormcast Eternals. What this means is, for units in my army that are, say, battle line if Stormcast Allegiance, I get them. For my army being Stormcast, and this is traditional Stormcast from this army book, I get certain abilities from being Stormcast. I can put half of my units in reserve to bring down on the table 9 inches away from my opponents throughout the game. I get access to different command abilities and artifacts for being Stormcast. So we want to be Stormcast Eternals for Allegiance. Then we see select Storm Host. So throughout these books, there are going to be sub-factions that you can pick that we can go through in future videos. But this is where you would actually pick that. So let's say for the hell of it, Celestial Vindicators, which we'll talk about later in this video. And you see Mortal Realm. So once upon a time, not in current play, but beforehand, in the ages past there, the Oak of Ages past, you would pick a mortal realm, and there'd be a big old list of artifacts that you could pick for your army. You have to say you're from that realm, and you're locked into it, like my Legions of Stormcast. In the current edition of the game, as of February 2021, that list got neutered. You hate to see it, but it happened. So there's only one realm artifact per thing. We're not gonna really use that. So now we're going to go and see select a faction for adding units. I'm going to scroll down until I see Stormcast Eternals in bold for us. And below that, we're going to go, and again, this website really does help you a lot here. You see it says leaders, 0 out of 4. If you look before, it said out of 6, and that 1 plus. What does this all mean? And I'll tell you. In a 1,000-point game, as laid out in the General's Handbook currently, you can have at least one leader to be your general, that's the battlefield role leader, and up to 4 as a hard cap. Can't go past 4 with the leader battlefield role. I have to stress that because there's some weird factions, like, say, Fire Slayers, where there's heroes that don't have that battlefield role. Again, look at the back of your book where it's all listed, where, like, the points cost and your allies and stuff. That's the page you'll find that on. Then we're going to go over here where, again, also, the leaders and battle lines are in red for us. Why is that? It's to be a visual cue to say that we don't have enough of them. So battle line with that 2+, we need at least 2 units of battle line. Again, that'll be like our Liberators or our Sequitors, or whatever your battle line is for your faction that you end up making these lists for. Next, we've got the hard cap of up to 2 behemoths, 2 artillery pieces. We start off with 1 artifact for free just for showing up. We have a hard cap of 2 endless spells. If you remember my last video, that's the stuff in the different box sets, like say Forbidden Power or Malign Sorcery, or even the ones that come with your faction. Stormcast come with them as well. And we've got an allied units pool and points table. So why are these here? For allies, 1 in every 4 units in your army can be allies. I'll say that again. So for each 3 units you have in your army, the 4th one can be an allied unit from a faction that likes your faction that you're friends with. And at a 1,000-point game, you can have up to 200 points of a unit in your army. And why the caps? Why even the allies? Well, sometimes certain armies don't have a very large unit roster, and you like the stuff from their friends. You're like, hey man, we're gonna come in play together. Narratively, you could say you hired them as mercenaries, or it's like they're helping you protect the village. Make your own story up your own way. And the cap is there so you don't just take the best unit that other army has to offer and ignore all your own shit. Because right now, I want to play Stormcast. I don't want to play as Deepkin or Cities of Sigmar. You get the point. Next, we go down to the actual beautiful parts of this website here. We've got the leaders section. I can go here, and it's all the different leaders that are laid out for me, and their war scrolls correspond in either the battle tome, or if you want the more updated stuff, again, remember, there's an app for all this, so you don't even need to carry the books. You just bring your phone, and you have a great time. And then we again pick our units, and even better, on the website, it'll say, like these judicators, they are Stormcast Eternal's battle line. I click the judicators. Look, one of my 2 battle line units is there because I picked Stormcast as my allegiance ability. If I pick, say, Deepkin, it goes away. So we're going to go put back the Eternals. We're going to actually get rid of that. And then we can say they have 1 artillery piece in their unit roster. That's the Celestar Ballista that they were really hot when it first dropped. Now it's kind of cooled off a bit, but they're fun to use. And then Stormcast for Sigmar knows why. I really mean he knows why because we don't. They have 31 possible battalions to choose from. And as a nice little bit here, they also tell you how many points all of it's worth. And this is stuff from White Dwarf supplements, from campaign books to the battle tome, and it's all collected on the website for you. Then we've got the endless spell, terrain, and extra command point bit. So this has a list of the generic endless spells and your own personal ones, like the Everblaze Common is here. So how the website works is all the ones that for your allegiance you can take, there they are in this tab. Now, if you were doing, say, something like Caradron Overlords and you had that spell in the bottle artifact where you can pick an endless spell from any faction, you'd have to, it's a little bit of a pain. You'd have to go to, like, say, Chaos. You select a faction. You say it's like, hey, I wanted the Slaves to Darkness thing. I wanted to go and take the, what's a good one here? What's a good one? Not Umbral Spell Portal. We want Darkfire Demon Rift, the one that blows up when it's near wizards and does extra damage to everybody. And then you just go back, click order, and go about your merry way and reset your stuff. So now take everything I just said, right? And now we're gonna go up to 2K points. The Battle Host. This is your standard, what everyone plays generally for tournaments, pickup games once you're more experienced with the game. Because a 1,000-point game, once you get to it, and you're still learning the rules, you look at everything up, you play 1,000 points because it's everything condensed. You can still play in all the phases and move on. A 2,000-point game can go anywhere from 2.5 hours to like 5 hours if you're just drinking beers with your friends or eating food, hanging out, relax. You don't need a drink. But if you do, like all the Aussies, the Brits, you get it. Go ahead. Not judging you here. Now for the 2,000 points, again, as we could see, leaders. You need at least 1 to be your general, because in match play you need 1 general, and if the general dies, the general is dead. And I have to specify that because in narrative play, there's ways to get another unit to be a general. We don't care about that. That's narrative play, narrative gamers. I do that every Sunday. Every other day of the week, we are match play purely. So 0 to 6 heroes, again, hard cap. You need at least 3 battle line units. Then you get your behemoths up to 4, artillery 4, artifacts 1, endless spells, yada yada yada. Now, you may be wondering, hey man, how do we get this to change for like the artifacts and stuff? I've been hearing things, and I'm gonna show you real quick. So this website shows you for every battalion you take, you get an extra command point for free. You get an extra mount trait generally as well, depending on what book you're playing out of for your army books, and you get access to another artifact. Some armies really need other artifacts, and we'll get to that in the master class, but that's just really what that looks like for here. And also we can see we have a hard cap of 3 endless spells, we get extra allied points, we're having a great time. Now, I said there are 3 points that usually people play at. The third one is actually, and you can even see it here because it's like kind of weird that I'm doing. You think Warhost? No, not a lot of 2,500 point games. We actually end up looking at this as 1,500 points is another commonly played setup. And as you can see, at 1,500 points, you could pick the Vanguard rules or the Battle Host rules, and then you just adjust your points accordingly. I like playing it at the Vanguard points and bumping myself up because I like having it the less tax, as you will, less minimum things I need to do, and then I got an extra 500 points to go buck wild. And I just like having fun like that. And now we're going to go, and I know that was confusing. So again, I'll just say it real quick before we go on because it is confusing, and that's all right. For 1,500 point games, there is no set way to choose whether you want to use the 1,000 point system or the 2,000 point system. Talk to your friends, see what they're comfortable with, and then work it out from there. Because at the end of the day, this is a game, and this is a social contract and a construct for you to go and have fun. And if people aren't having fun with this, you're doing something wrong. We're mostly grown adults playing with plastic toys. I like my army man, you like your army man. We're gonna go and meet up and play a pickup game. I'll be like, hey man, you want 1,000 point game, 2,000 points? I brought the models for it. Here's the list. You're like, yeah, cool, I'll do this. Example list now. That's right, I came prepared. So this is a 1,000 point list that I like playing. Um, and you're gonna see I filled out a bunch of stuff on this, all these different options. So we'll just walk through it real quick. I have for my Stormcast army, I chose the Celestial Vindicators. That is a sub faction that, if you look in the Stormcast book, it gives me the cool ability to reroll ones when I charge with my units. And because I picked Celestial Vindicators, I'm forced into this. These are the command traits tabs here for this list. Again, I know it's a lot to take in. When you make a leader your general, they have to take a command trait. If you take a sub-faction, like I did with Celestial Vindicators, they assign you one. Sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're kind of meh. Depends on the book, and depends on if it's built around the command trait, if it's built on the army trait. Because I'm saying that this is actually even better. Command trait's actually single-minded fury. Ignore me. The Stormhost trait is the reroll hit rolls of 1 when you charge. And then we get onto like here, these are the different artifacts that we could take. We can scroll down. We can see the website already has Celestial Vindicator's Storm Range Blade. It's already set up for us. Fantastic. I get a mount trait because this is a hero that has a mount that can take a trait. I'm taking Windrunner, so it can move faster. I'm ignoring the options for Scroll of Power artifact and Celestial Staves because those are things specifically in my book, and I can only have one artifact on a hero at a time. In the future, maybe there's battle tomes that let you break that rule. This isn't one of them, so we're working with that. And then you can see for my spell option, because my Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger is a wizard. So I picked the spell Celestial Blades, which in the book lets me get +1 to wound for melee attacks. I can cast it on friendly Stormcast Eternal units, which is again why we're all doing this Stormcast. Next, I have a Knight Incanter here. Again, no command trait, no artifacts. I'm only allowed the one if we're looking up here. I have 3 of my 4 leaders on my battle line picked. I Because I'm a wizard, I get to pick a spell for my spell lore. I chose Lightning Blast because it's a really cool spell. It's you hit the nearest unit that you can see that's an enemy, and you do D3 mortal wounds. It's a free arcane bolt. that's supercharged, as if you rolled a 10, and it goes off in like a 5. Love it. Um, my third hero is a Knight Heralder, which I'm taking as a support piece because we're going to go down further. We're going to see Evocators and Dracolions. I have the option here to give them extra Grand Staves, which is the special weapon on the War Scroll. This is where when you come through this, you need your book because War Scroll Builder doesn't necessarily tell you how many Grand Staves a unit can take. It won't automatically hard cap you at what it's supposed to be stopped at. So I have one. That's how I built it. Lore of Invigoration, I don't need it. They could take an extra spell, but they only cast the Empower spell or this one. And I like the spell on the War Scroll a lot because they are also a wizard. It's great. And they murder other units when they charge, which is why we take the sub faction, which is why we take um, the sub faction generic trait of rerolling ones to charge. Their spell lets them reroll wound rolls, so I can just make them pretty much consistently get all their damage through and force a lot of save rolls from my opponent. And then you can see below that I've got the Sequitors, and I know from experience that my Sequitors in a unit of 5 can have 2 Great Maces from the regular guys and gals, and the leader of the unit, she gets a Great Mace for free. So I can have up to 3 Great Maces, and then I have the option for Storm, Smite, Mauls, and Shields, or Sword and Board there. I like the Mauls because it's all about hammers and Stormcast to me. Some people like the swords. Like, that's a flavor thing and whether you like the stats, but that's why we have our army book with us doing all this. And we can see here I've got 970 points out of my possible 1,000. I cannot go over points when I'm playing in this game mode. And that means, I look to see if I have 30 points left, if there's anything I want. When you're playing games of Age of Sigmar and you come in under points, there's actually a function for that. It's called a triumph that you get for being like brave and you're outnumbered, and it's something that the game tries to help you balance your stuff with in match play. And you roll on a separate table for that, and your army gets a buff. So for this, I'm playing for one of those buffs. I don't know what I'm getting because you roll randomly, but hopefully my opponent doesn't bring a 970 point list and also plays for the trial. I come in under points. And now, looking at this again, I can't fit the artillery. I bought an extra command point. So in matched play currently, how it is you can spend 50 points of your army to get an extra command point. You use these for different abilities, like scrolling up here on my Griff Charger, and also I can click that little question mark there. It brings me to the War Scrolls. I'm gonna bump this up a little over at the Games Workshop website, so we can actually see. Here's my Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. We're looking at a 12-inch move, 7 wounds total on the model, 9 bravery, 3 up save. So when the wounds are all gone, the whole model's dead. It's not like he can jump off the bird. We can see that we have the command abilities here, which is why I have the command points to spend on this. And we also know that at the start of your turn, you get a command point for free. And I want to do a cool little combo with my army, so I like starting off with an extra command point. And so now we've gone over these little circles here. We've got other things. I can delete the war scroll that I've chosen. I could go up and move these around in the list. I can rename them to be really cool. Like I'm going to rename this to be Drago Bolton, because sure. And then it'll say the name, and then the actual Lord Arcanum will be in parentheses. Like, hey, I want to share this list. All right, we can save it to a PDF by clicking this button, or if I have a Word document, or if I'm gonna post this to the Discord, I can click Army Summary, like I have up here, and I get a short version or this full version here. This is the full. This is the short. It doesn't give me as much, well, detail. That's why it's short. You know, I hit copy and I can paste it onto wherever I'm posting it, whether it's a message board because I'm playing on TTS and I'm messaging somebody, hey man, this is my list. I put it in a Word document to print out. I print screen this. There's technology, so many ways to do it. You get the idea. And with that, well, that's the basics of making a list and using War Scroll Builder. Um, so I'm going to go. Let's see, Rocco technology, go! Full screen. There we go. Ignore the other clicking I did. That was back from my other streaming days. But yeah, class, this is List Building 101. Thank you for watching. I hope it helped you out. Whether it was something that you had no idea that you could even find this on the website, or if you've been playing for a while and you haven't used these tools and you're coming to it, or you're just going back to basics, trying to figure out what you need to know or what you're trying to do for the future. I'm your boy. I'm here for you to help you out, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.